What's going on, guys? Good evening. Hope you guys are doing well tonight. And we've got some contract details. Thought it'd be fun to go over it in a video here. So, Jason Myers, we're going to talk a little bit more about him. Going to talk about the contract he signed. And we're going to look at the year-by-year breakdown and see exactly what we might be in for with Mr. Myers. So, I think we all know we signed him to that big deal, that big contract earlier this week. 4 years, 21.1 million. Some escalators can boost it up to like 22.6. One of the biggest deals ever for a kicker, but how much of that money is he actually going to see? Well, obviously that depends on how he plays, but let's take a look at what the contract dictates here, because we now have the details. So, to briefly break it down here, Jason Myers is effectively guaranteed to be a Seahawk through 2024. So you can pretty much write it down in pen and just seal it away. Jason Myers will be our kicker for the next 2 seasons minimum. I guess there is some universe where he's so abysmally bad in 2023 we cut him anyway. Like maybe he just literally forgets how to kick. Like maybe he just becomes like a baseball player that just can't find the ball anymore, and if he maybe kicks it like a 60% clip even, maybe then. But barring a complete breakdown in his abilities as a kicker, he's going to be here for 2 more years at least. Obviously, he's going to be here in 2023 because that's the next season, but as you can see in 2024, the dead cap hit for releasing Jason Myers would be slightly more than the cap hit. So it actually costs a little bit more. And, you know, when I say a little bit more, I mean we're talking about $115,000 to release than to keep. So as long as he's at least, I'd say even below average, he's good for 2024. And after that, it becomes at least possible to move on from Myers. If you look at 2025, you can see the cap hit goes up to 6 million, 6.1 almost. And the dead cap hit becomes 3 3/4. So cutting him at this point would save you about $2,300,000. Now you could do a post June 1st release and just spread that dead cap hit out across 2 seasons. Your immediate cap savings would be 4.2 million. So that's when it starts to get to the point where, like, if it's not working out, if he's not kicking well, if he's not having a good season, then maybe you can talk about it. But it's going to be at least 2 years. And then in 2026, the final year of the deal, we're talking about only 1.9 million approximately dead if you cut him. So you'd be saving 4.6 million. And if he's not playing well by then, you could definitely see a release. The cap hits for each year are kind of what I expected. It's fairly backloaded. The first year's cap hit is only 3 million. Then it goes up to 5.5, 6.1, and 6.5. So by the end of this deal, we will be paying a kicker $6.5 million a year, which, I mean, I'm not crazy about it. But by then, I will say this, by the way. Let me just say this. By the time we get to 2026, the cap is going to be so big, $6.5 million for a good kicker is probably going to be perfectly fine. I don't think that's going to be a big deal. By that same token, though, less than 2 million dead will also seem like nothing. The cap could be... If somebody told me the cap was going to be 400 million by 2026, I'd probably believe them. Like, that seems entirely believable to me. So, we've done a pretty good job here of not making the load too big in any one season, I suppose. When you're talking about a deal that has an average annual value of 5.3 million, the fact that no season's above 6.5 is fairly good. And hey, the first year cap hit is just $3 million. I've spent the past several days going over all the different ways the Seahawks can move money around to save money, and if they do even some of those things, a $3 million cap hit in 2023 is going to seem fairly insignificant. Obviously, at the end of the day, the most important thing is that Jason Myers continues to play well for us, but if he does, I think we'll be okay. Again, the important thing to remember when you're taking a look at contracts like this, the important thing to keep in mind, is that the cap is going to keep going up. So the numbers that you're looking at in like 2026, it's going to feel very different by the time you get there. At the end of the day, this was a deal that ended up having like 35%, or less than 40% of the money was a signing bonus, and less than 9 million of it was guaranteed. So it was not huge guarantees. 8.7 million approximately was guaranteed out of 21.1 million. Obviously can escalate to more, but anything that's in an escalator is obviously not guaranteed anyway. So no matter how you slice it, once you accept the contract, 4 years, 21.1, then this spread of cap hits and this signing bonus, this guaranteed, pretty reasonable to me. So that's how the contract breaks out. Obviously, there are going to be other contracts coming in the near future that are a little more interesting than this one, like, say, Geno Smith. But there you go. 3 million, 5.5, 6.1, 6.5. Becomes viable to cut basically starting in 2025. So 2 years minimum of Myers. Should be streaming on Twitch right now, by the way. If you hop on over to Twitch, probably streaming during the playoff games. So come hang out with me if you're not already over there. And if you're watching this video, several hours after I uploaded it, I might still be on Twitch doing Fire Emblem after the games. So stop on by. See you guys later. Go Hawks. And there's your Jason Myers contract details.